the park, Morgan?
Yeah, I know, no one goes to the park anymore.
Yeah, tell me about it. I haven't been in years. The parks are so empty nowadays.
No, I like it. It makes me feel like a kid again.
Morgan, you are a kid.
Says the guy whose mum texts him every 5 minutes.
Oh, come on.
I rest my case.
Guys, stop being such stoners and let's go enjoy the park. I'm going to show you how good the park is. Come on.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
Park.
For God's sake, get up. Come on.
Guys, come see what I found.
The 74.
Guys, come see what I found. Come on.
Oh, wow.
Whoa, it's like
that?
it's one of those old time capsules, isn't it?
Oh, this is one of those old cameras. What do they used to call them? Super 8s, is it?
Are you sure?
I think so. What a name.
So old.
Is it working? Oh, what's that?
My name's Peter Dankert. I'm nearly 58 years old. I was born in 1956 in Friar Park. I've lived in Wednesbury pretty much all of my life, other than a few years I spent in Great Bar. I started my life in a fruit business and I progressed my way through into the building trade.
My name is Gloria Lansdale. I was born in 1955, Friar Park Road, Wednesbury.
And I'm Steve Melia, and my family has lived on this estate since the inception of Friar Park. My family moved onto the estate on the 9th of September 1939. I'm a local councillor for Great Bar and Yew Tree, which you can see behind me. That's Great Bar and Yew Tree. And as I said, I was born, bred, reared on this estate, went to school here and still live on the estate. I live 400 yards away. I was born 300 yards away.
Living in Friar Park in the 70s was great because they just built a great big park. All the teenagers used to meet up there, and being a skinhead, everybody used to meet up at Wednesbury Park on a Sunday, and we used to have a great time. We was always out in the streets, never in the house.
My early years were dramatically different to what you would experience these days. You can go and start with the amount of traffic that was on the roads for a start off. We would play in the roads, and you would very occasionally you'd have to stop and stand out of the way while a car chugged past you, and it was sort of quite an event to see a car or a vehicle go past you then. I was born in Friar Park and I lived on the main thoroughfare through there, Crancourt Lane, and even though it was still a main thoroughfare, cars were not aplenty at all, and it was quite easy to play gutters and football and whatever else that went. My first school was just round the corner from where I was born, and that was Tameside in Walton Road. Although I didn't last there very long, unfortunately, because my mother came out one lunchtime while I was on school break, and apparently there was a bit of a ruckus in the school playground, and I was in the middle of it. So they pulled me out, and the next day I went to private school in Walsall, where I did elocution and drama and all the other things that go with private school, and that set me up nicely as a target then for growing up in Friar Park, trust me.
In them days, I think as long as you got a job, that was the main thing, because when you was at school, you left when you was 15 and you could come out to school and go straight into a job. I had a job in a cardboard box factory in Great Bridge. I was only there for a morning. I didn't like it, I left. I went up to West Bromwich, to Allworths. You used to go in, ask the manager if they've got any jobs. You'd get a job, you start the next day. You could walk out of one job into another one straight away.
I grew up in an era when there was no shortage of jobs. You left school and you went to work. In fact, I left on the Wednesday morning and started work on the Wednesday afternoon. That was after my A-levels. I would have said that it was probably employment and bringing money into a family that was a priority for most people at that stage. And when I say bringing money into the family, that's exactly what happened. You brought your money into the family, you handed over all of your wages, and you were given an allowance back. So it wasn't a case where you pay board or whatever else. Your entire wages were handed over, and they kept the household going. Community life was hugely different from when I was growing up as a lad. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say you could leave your doors open, but everybody knew everybody and everybody helped everybody. And it was not uncommon for a lad of your age, if he was sitting on the bus and a lady got on, for the lad to get up, not even think about it, not for the lady a seat. This would have been commonplace to carry people's bags up and down the street. There was much more of a neighbourly feel to community life as it was in that day.
We are the champions! We are the champions! We are the champions! We are the champions! We are the champions!
What team are you in?
America.
You're in America. How are you getting on?
Okay.
Who's winning?
We don't know. We don't know yet. It's Ireland.
What games have you just played?
Ball game and racing. Yeah.
I should think you're all quite good at running, aren't you?
Yeah. Right.
And who's going to win?
Well, in the 70s we had got a community centre which was built because of the good work that was being done.
There was a youth club in Friar Park. We used to play badminton, squash. There used to be bands what used to practice around the corner. We used to be like, even in the parks, playing netball and everything. Just was physical all the time.
We had 3 visits from royalty because of the community association building here.
Our social life was revolved an awful lot around music, and also the Horse and Jockey pub on the Wood Green Road, which has recently undergone massive changes, but we could go to see a concert 2 or 3 times a week. Birmingham Town Hall, I used to be on the mailing list there. If I remember rightly, it was probably about 3 shillings and 6pence, which is 17.5 pence now to go and see a concert. And you would regularly go and see people like Roxy Music and Mott the Hoople and Rory Gallagher and all those sort of people that were touring on a regular basis. Other than that, as I say, it was the local pubs.
You was either a skinhead or an Hells Angel, but I was a skinhead. It was great really, because, you know, everybody, all from when you was about 14 to 16, everybody used to meet up. We used to go out the streets, go to the parks, the carnivals. On a Sunday night, there used to be a disco at West Bromwich, at the Adelphi. You know, it used to be great. We never went abroad in them days. I don't think people could afford it. We used to go to Rail or Blackpool, just places like that, Torquay.
You'd go to Clent Hills, Malvern, Evesham on the river, or Stareport, which is still quite popular now. It tended to sort of just be local countryside and country pubs. Pubs featuring quite heavily there, aren't they?
Oh, TV programmes, Starsky and Hutch, Top of the Pops. You weren't used to watch that much TV because you'd be out. You'd be out all day and all night. Your parents never had children in the houses in them days.
Throughout the summer months, Jubilee also provided children's activities at local festivals such as Play Day and the Friar Park Festival. Face painting and inflatables were as popular as ever, and so were the newer activities such as giant consequences.
Friar Park was a troubled estate, and the way they knew how to express themselves was by arguing, and I've got to admit it, by fighting. Every single night outside the pubs, the couple of pubs in the area, there were fights. That's the way it was.
There were still fights. There were still fights. Living opposite a pub, they still went on, but they seemed to be cleaner. Nobody carried knives and nobody carried guns. And when the person who was fighting had hit the floor, then that was it. It was over. And you shook hands and went and had a pint afterwards. There was none of this kicking somebody when they're down or whatever else. In that respect, we live in a sadder society these days for that. But crime still existed. We still had our fair share of it.
If I went out with a girl, if I met a girl at a dance at Wednesbury or West Bromwich, took her home, I could bet I'd never see her again, because when she told her father or mother where the young lad who she'd met that night came from, Friar Park, they wouldn't let her see me again. And most of the people on the estate had the same problem.
In the 1970s compared to today, I think you didn't have as much money as you do today, but people seem to be a lot happier then.
I lived in an absolutely natural, beautiful part of the country. My childhood was playing on the fields just to the back of here, flying kites, fishing, on the streets, making trolleys. No cars in those days, or very few, so we played in the street, skipping, saltbuck carts, all sorts of things during the school holidays. We got lost all day in the woods behind us. It was absolutely fabulous place to grow up.
People left the doors open, you could walk in each other's houses. If somebody hadn't got no sugar, you could go next door and borrow a cup of sugar. And that's how it was. It was really good.
No work, no facilities for the adults, but us kids had a wonderful, wonderful life.
My name's Ashley, I work at Comrade here. I've been in Wednesbury since I was 16, all my life really. That's it. It's alright around here, to be fair. We have a laugh, don't you? Oh no, literally everybody around here, so.
Well, my name's Ellie and I'm 20 years old. I'm a university student and I've lived in Wednesbury all my life, straight through into uni as well, and I'm still living there right now. As a teenager, if I'm honest, I don't think there was that much to do. I think there was a lot of outdoorsy stuff you could have done, but I'm not a very outdoorsy person. So it was just like quite a lot of going over friends' houses, going to the cinema, but that was in Warsaw. But it was mostly done at home, I think, socialising.
My name's Callum, I'm 14, I've lived here 10 years.
My name's Tom, I'm 14.
Well, life as a teenager in Wednesbury is like boring and people keep themselves to themselves, but when you get younger people, they just ruin it for everyone else, you can't really do nothing.
Nah. I love Friar Park harder. Stay here forever.
What I brought this cake? It's really heavy, you know.
And I brought these. What's this all about?
I'll explain everything to you lot. We found a box earlier with like loads of 70s stuff in it. It was a bit like a time capsule. It gave a good idea to us of what it would be like back if you lived in that time. So I thought it'd be a good idea if we made our own time capsule, and I think the museum would be a good place to display it.
That sounds like a really good idea. Let's do it. Come on then.
Hello, would you like to make a donation? We found this time capsule the other day and we thought it'd be perfect to donate for the exhibition.
Yes, I think fit in perfectly. Have you had a good look in it? Yeah? Oh, that's great. Yeah, that would be really good for our exhibition. Thank you so much.
We was also thinking that we could maybe make our own time capsule and then add it to the exhibition for now.
I think that's a really good idea, yes. And thank you for donating that.